Welcome to this beginner's guide to chess. This guide will teach you the fundamental parts you need to know in order to play chess. This video consists of 5 major aspects of chess you need to know. Introduction to chess. Piece movement and captures. Special moves. Basic idea of openings in chess. And finally, a chess game between 2 very famous and skillful players. So, without further ado, let's begin. The aim of the game is to checkmate the opponent. Checkmate occurs when the king is in a position to be captured, which is check, and cannot escape the capture. A chessboard is an 8x8 square consisting of ranks. Ranks horizontally go across the board. For example, this is the first rank. A chessboard also consists of files, such as the A file or E file. The board then contains coordinates, allowing you to locate the specific square, for instance, C4 or G6. The game starts with white first. To ensure the chessboard is the right way around, don't forget the phrase, white in the right, which means the bottommost right square is white. Each side has 8 pawns, 2 rooks, 2 knights, 2 bishops, a queen and a king. First, let's talk about the pawn. The pawn is worth 1 point of material. All 8 pawns lie on the 2nd rank for white and 7th rank for black. Pawns move 1 space forward, cannot go back, and can't move over other pieces. However, on their first go, the pawn has the option to go 2 spaces forward. This is only eligible for the first move of the pawn. The way pawns capture is different from how they move. Pawns move forward, but capture diagonally 1 space. For instance here, the white pawn is diagonally opposite to the black pawn, therefore the pawn can take. If 2 pawns are in front of each other, those 2 pawns are blocked and cannot be moved as pawns cannot jump over other pieces. Next, rooks. Rooks are worth 5 points of material. They are located in the corner of the board. Rooks are fairly easy to use. They move horizontally and vertically in any amount of space. For instance, a rook can go a couple of squares or go across the whole board. To capture, rooks capture what they land on. Note that rooks cannot jump over any pieces. Now, it's the knight. There are 2 knights on each side, so for altogether, each knight is worth 3 points of material. Knights are located next to the rooks on either side. The movement of a knight is a bit tricky. They move in an L shape. So, 2 squares in any direction, up, down, left or right, then a turn 1 space. I have showed an example of all the possible moves a knight could play if it were to be in the center. Note that knights are the only piece in the game that can jump over pieces. The knight also captures on what it lands on. Next up is the bishop. The bishop is worth 3 points, however certain chess books state that it can be worth 3.5 in certain positions. The bishop is located next to the knights. There are 2 bishops on each side. Bishops move diagonally, as many spaces. It could be 1 space or the whole board. Bishops only capture on what they land on and don't have the ability to jump over pieces. Note that if a bishop starts on a light square, the bishop is only moved on the light square diagonals, therefore a light squared bishop cannot be played or moved to a dark square. Now, the queen. The queen is the strongest piece on the board, worth 9 points of material. There is 1 queen on each side. The queens are located on the D file, next to the bishop. The queen moves diagonally, vertically, and horizontally, like a bishop and rook combined. Queens move as many squares desired and capture on what they land on. They, however, don't have the ability to jump over other pieces. Note that the queen is the most powerful piece on the board, therefore try not losing it. Finally, the king. The king sits next to the queen, on the e-file. The king doesn't have a value, as it cannot be captured as the game ends on checkmate, therefore it's the most valuable piece. Kings move like a queen, but only one space in either direction. The king captures on what it lands on. Now, special moves. This video will show you 3 main special moves that can be used in almost any game. These moves are castling, pawn promotion, and en passant. First off, castling. Castling is the only move in chess where 2 pieces can move at the same time. This is when the king moves 2 spaces towards a rook, and the rook then moves to the other side, right next to the king. Note that this is the only time the king can move 2 spaces. Castling can occur both short side and long side. Short side castling is when it is played with the rook nearest to the king. And long side is when it is played with the rook farthest away from the king. There are a few criteria that need to be met in order for castling to occur. The king and rook haven't been moved and are still on their starting square. The king is not in check. And the king cannot castle through check, meaning if an opposing piece is covering a square which is in the way of castling, then it wouldn't be possible. Pawns are the only piece in the game that cannot move backwards. Therefore, when a pawn reaches the other side of the chess board, it promotes into another piece, such as a knight, bishop, rook, or queen. Note that the pawn cannot stay a pawn or promote into a king. A common misconception is that a pawn has to promote into a piece that is already captured, but that is not the case. Pawns can promote into whatever is desirable. Now, en passant. En passant, a French phrase meaning, in passing, is a hidden move in chess where if 2 pawns are side by side, the pawn can be captured. The opponent's pawn has to first move 2 squares, which it can only do on its first turn. Now, if their pawn and your pawn are now side by side, the pawn can capture black's pawn. The pawn still moves diagonally, normally to how it captures, but the opponent's pawn is captured. Note that this can only happen on the first turn after the pawn is pushed 2 squares. If not, and another move is played, this move will now not be possible. Now, on to opening. The opening is a very crucial part in chess. This is the first 7 to 10 moves of a game. The main ideology behind the opening is to get your pieces out and try to control the center. The center is the 4 most central squares of the chessboard, which are e4, e5, d4, and d5. If you can control these squares with your pieces, without them being captured, you are off to a good start. In an ideal game, you would want to push either your e-pawn and d-pawn. Either one of these will be sufficient. Next, we will develop our knights, both of them. Playing them to the side of the board is no use as you limit their mobility. So, playing both knights, one to f3 and one to c3. Next is our bishops. To develop both of our bishops, just try to move them off their starting point. For the light-squared bishop, you can develop it anywhere on its diagonal, and same for the dark-squared bishop. After developing these pieces, try to castle. Castling allows us to keep our king out of the center and move it into safety. However, this may not happen in every game, as your opponent also has the same motive, so you would have to play wisely. For example, a game starts with e4, and black responds with e5, trying to take control the center. We can't push our d-pawn as black can capture it. We can capture it, however, with our queen, but it is not advisable to bring out a very powerful piece so quick in a game. So, I would suggest developing your knight, in particular, the 1 to f3. This move attacks black's pawn, so they would play a move to defend it, such as knight to c6. We can now develop our bishop and knight, and later castle kingside. Just be careful what you play, you don't want to lose precious pieces. Now, last but not least, a chess game between two skillful chess players.